Yeah. Huh? Hey, I'm tryna win. I'm tryna win in the 716 and I'm making it big. I wanna live. I think I'm...
Welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk About It with Ty. Today's Tuesday, so you know it's literally all NFL talk. I have a couple games that really stood out to me this weekend, over the past weekend, that I really feel like we need to talk about. Starting with Monday night's game, the Chiefs versus the Saints. Pat Mahomes threw for 28 completions out of 39 attempts, 331 yards. He had no passing touchdowns, and he had 0 interceptions. Derek Carr threw for 18 completions out of 28 attempts, 165 passing yards, 1 TD, 1 interception. This game got very interesting just because of the Chiefs played all their tight ends. Like, you could tell, like, they were struggling at the wide receiver position until you get the return of Juju. Juju caught 7 passes for 130 yards, the most yards for any Chiefs receiver this season. He also had 80 yards after the ball was already in his hands. Yeah, Juju came back with some vengeance this game. So it was interesting to see, though, because like I said, like for the Chiefs not to really trust any receiver. I mean, they were running a 13. I think that's all 4 tight ends. So just to see that, and then Juju just go off like that. So I feel like they got a spark back with Juju at the receiver position. And yeah, I'm kind of excited to see how he is going to be moving forward with the team, just because this was one hell of a night. Another thing that popped out of this game was the run and stop. The Saints normally run 57% of their snaps. They're the most frequent in the NFL. And the Chiefs were able to shut down Alvin Kamara. He was only held to 26 yards on 11 carries. And this in itself still led the Saints. And that's crazy because normally Alvin Kamara is like they go-to engine. So when you erase a team's preferred option, guess what tends to happen? The offense tends to struggle, which you saw because I think their next option was Rashid Shaheed. And I mean, he did do that 1 touchdown for them, but I think it got called back, if I'm not mistaken. But literally, Alvin Kamara was shut down the whole time. And we got to get into that interception. Derek Carr was panicking with George. Karlaftis broke into the backfield, and he just like hurled the pass up for grabs. And the pass was intended to Rashid Shaheed in the first quarter. Brian Cook, made a terrific play on a football, to secure an interception. And that was just like the second pick and the only time they've had an opening drive stop. Another thing we need to talk about, too, in this game was Kareem Hunt. Y'all got to remember, Kareem Hunt was just sitting in front of the television watching football like a couple weeks ago. He just got signed back to the Chiefs to fill in for, Pacheco, because Pacheco's out on that injury. Hunt had 27 carries for 102 yards and a touchdown. It shows he still got a burst in him. The physicality hasn't left, even though he was just sitting down watching football a couple weeks ago. And if y'all didn't know this or not, Kareem Hunt was literally considered one of the least effective running backs in the league last season. So to see him come back and be a full force for the Chiefs, that's impressive. Because they just, they try to count him out. And like I said, this game was good. It was good. I will say it was good. also too, like, I wasn't expecting the Saints to play how they was too, because just like a couple weeks ago, they was showing that they was, a lot of people was counting them to be like the next team to be good, like up on the list. So just for them to play like this, it's not bad, but it's just that it just wasn't the best from them. But the real most talked about game was the Ravens and the Bengals. Like, oh, please. The showdown between Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson. Man, oh man. That game was something serious. So, a couple takeaways from that game that I felt really stood out was you got to talk about Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson is really like just the heart and the talent behind that offense. Lamar threw for 341 yards. He has 61.9% completions, 4 touchdowns. I mean, whether he needed to scramble, throw, run, Lamar responded like an MVP, And I think without him in that game, I don't think Baltimore would have won. One of his most like impressive plays actually this game was the touchdown to Isaiah Likely. Lamar Jackson stiff arms defensive end Sam Hubbard twice to escape what should have been a sack. Jackson then spots Likely cutting across the back and, whip pass to Likely, and he had to climb for the snag for it. Another impressive person this game was Marlon Humphrey. Things were looking grim in the fourth quarter for the Ravens. They definitely were. Until Humphrey does that interception on Chase that gave the ball back to Baltimore. They were trailing about 3 points with just a little under 3 minutes to play. I don't think the victory happens with Baltimore if this turnover never happened. Another impressive thing about this game was Joe Burrow. Like, Joe Burrow literally just moved to the 5th all-time passing yards on the Bengals list. He also became the 10th quarterback in the NFL history with a stat line of 390-plus passing yards, 5-plus touchdowns passes, and a completion percentage of 75-plus. And this is the first since former Houston quarterback Deshaun Watson in 2019. Like, that is crazy. That's a phenomenal game from Joe Burrow. Another person you got to talk about that had a phenomenal game was Ja'Marr Chase. Ja'Marr Chase played his 50th career regular season game on Sunday. He had 10 catches for 193 yards and 2 tuds. You know what I'm saying? Like, Chase is just surpassed Jerry Rice for the 5th most in NFL history. Total yardage. Leading the list is Lance Alworth, Odell Beckham, Julio Jones, and Randy Moss. So, like, Ja'Marr Chase was going off, like, and then you see T. Higgins come back. T. Higgins gives Cincinnati its first points with his first touchdown of the season. He had an 11-yard catch from Burrow on a 3rd down early in the second quarter. Like, just to see that 3-unit come back and be kind of back to their prime, like, that was an amazing thing to see. But we also got to talk about Derrick Henry, man. Y'all know how I feel about Derrick Henry because, he came from Bama. So That's my Bama boy. Derrick Henry became the 26th player with 100 career touchdowns. He's now tied with Mike Evans for first place on the active list. He also just got 10,000 career rushing yards on Sunday, becoming the 32nd player in NFL history to accomplish that. I mean, plus he rushed in for the winning tud for the game. And then, so this was really just a stellar game to see between them two, because, this felt almost like we in the postseason, just how they was playing, like run for run, throw for throw, all that. So it was just like a really exciting game to see. And, the Ravens came out with a win. But it just, from both quarterbacks, it was good to see two quarterbacks like that going head to head on a Sunday game. Like, it was just really, really good. And I think these two teams is like 1-2 leading, I believe. I think, yeah. So just to see them play like this was amazing. Let's kind of talk about this this Bills versus Texans game. I'm going to tell you, I have been livid about this game. Very livid. First and foremost, the way this game has been propaganda, been set up as like a revenge game, I'm not liking that. I'm not liking that one bit, because at the end of the day, I feel like, it's the streets is talking about it like being that we did Stephon Diggs wrong. When reality situation is Stephon Diggs wanted to leave. He didn't feel like he was getting the treatment he wanted here, and he wanted to test the market, and he did. And, he ended up being a Texan. So for it to be put out there that it's a revenge game is crazy, because I really honestly, truly think that Josh didn't really want Stephon to leave, and I don't think the Bills really wanted Stephon to leave. We would have to we paying this man $30 million in dead cap. Like, what are we talking about? Like, that's not something that, should have even been the propaganda with this game. So on top of us, the Bills haven't won in the Texans' house since, I think, 2008. That's a long time. So you got them two emotions signing up for the game on Sunday. We get the game on Sunday, and just a bunch of BS just started to happen. You can clearly tell that something is going on in the receiver room. I wouldn't say that it's not something that can't be fixed, but it just was a lot of miscommunication on the Bills side. You got, I believe Keon was running RPO, and Josh, I don't know what happened, but they misread and then ends up dinging him in the head with the ball. Then you got Hollins. He running, Josh is throwing a ball to him, and it was supposed to go, Josh was throwing it to the outside, and you could clearly see that Hollins was running inside. It's just too much miscommunication on that side. Another thing is the separation. The wide receivers are not separating like they need to. Like, you can't even throw the ball because they cover. You know what I'm saying? And you can't. I get it. We got Keon Coleman for moments like this, but he's still a rookie. And for me, I just, I don't like to put all the the workload on a rookie in the sense of like, oh, it's his fault, whatever. No, Keon did do a couple mistakes, but he makes up for that touchdown. But otherwise than that, it just didn't look good. And I don't know what Bobby had planned or what he was doing, but he couldn't recover into getting the job done. And you know, you got Cook. Cook couldn't even, the defense was on Cook because, Cook is the go-to option right now. For real. We need to figure out how to get Curtis Samuel, involved because I believe like he's the go-to guy that probably could separate the most, even with Shakir, but Shakir's injured. But on top of that, the Texans didn't really play that good of football. They just won the game, so like another play that really pissed me off too in this Bills versus Texans game was the live ball. It wasn't an interception. The live ball dropped. We recovered it in a 2-minute warning, and then we got the ball back, and we had like 41 seconds on the clock, and we at the Texans goal line. Josh is first down, and I believe that long, I want to say it was like 50-something yard pass. I forgot who he was throwing it to because I'm one of them type of people that when they get mad, they get amnesia, so I can't really remember who he was throwing it to. But he was throwing it to a receiver, and they drop it. Incomplete. We didn't get no yards. And then after that, we didn't do nothing. I mean, we got a crucial recovery and didn't do nothing with it. This can't happen like this. This got to stop. We got to start playing better, smarter football. And I think another thing, too, in that game, Josh was filled with emotions because of that propaganda that was said throughout the weeks. Well, the week leading up to the game, that this is a revenge game, all this other stuff. I think that got into Josh's head because he started to play a little bit emotional, where he was throwing, he was overthrowing, or he was, throwing so hard that his receivers couldn't catch it. Either way, I just think Josh started to get a little bit emotional, so he started playing frustrated. So yeah, like this loss is not, we not in like bad footing, but we need to figure something out because we can't have that happening. We got too much, we play the Jets next week, and I'll be damned if we lose to the Jets that just lost their head coach. Speaking of that, let's get into the Jets losing their head coach. That he was left in London, okay? He was left in London. They tired of him, they tired of Salah. And they got rid of him today. Earlier today, they got rid of him. They left in London. Okay? But that leaves the Jets open for vulnerability. You ain't got no head coach. Well, you do. They just made, matter of fact, I believe how you pronounce his name is Ulbridge. Their defensive coordinator is now their interim head coach. So I don't know. It'll be a different identity now because he is their head coach. And, but the Jets, I think, is number 2 in defense. So he might be a good fit. But yeah, I just can't get into this. If the Bills lose next week for this, I might be one of them people that just might turn off the TV and don't watch the games like that. Just because I do get a little emotional. I am that type of person. But still on the note of that head coach being gone. I don't know if this is true or not. I just actually seen this on Twitter earlier. And so, tell me when you guys actually listen to this episode, like, correct me if I'm wrong. They said the Jets still got to pay this man $20,000 per day for the next 2 years. Like, That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. He's still getting paid even though he got fired. I mean, maybe that's a win-win situation for you. Like you're not a head coach, but hey, you still getting paid $20K per day. Add that up. And then last but not least, we gotta talk about these Washington Commanders, man, because I don't know what it is. I didn't expect the Commanders to be leading the NFC East. Just coming off like last year, they weren't good. The Commanders were not good last year. I don't even know what their record was last year. Really, like, let me Google this as we like. So they were the last in the NFC East last year with 4 wins and 13 losses. Now you the number 1. Over America's team, the Cowboys, and the Eagles, and the Giants. Well, the Giants is Basuda anyway. But the Eagles and the Cowboys, I wasn't expecting that. Y'all got to give credit to their head coach and their quarterback. Because Jaden is playing. He's playing. His game with Cleveland Browns, the man threw for 238 yards, 1 TD, and he had an interception. But still, like, every game, the man has been throwing over 100 yards, 150 yards, 180 yards. He's showing you to be a promising quarterback for sure. And his team is just rallying up behind him. So I'm actually just shocked to see that, just because the Washington Commanders were last year, not a first. But another thing I wanted to talk about too, just because I was just having this conversation off mic, the Josh with Pat, I don't know why we don't hold them to the same rank, in the sense of, like, you know, when Josh throws an interception, the whole world goes in frenzy. But when Pat Mahomes does it, it's just like people don't see that. I don't know if it's just because Pat Mahomes is winning and he's the reigning champ or whatever, but you don't do that for Josh. And I think that's another reason. I don't know. I think that's another reason why Josh is, not saying having a tough time, but I think that's another thing that I'm starting to notice about Josh, is that y'all are, you know, taking away kind of like what makes him him. You know, y'all don't do that with Pat. Y'all let Pat be Pat, so let Josh be Josh. You know, in a way. I'm not saying this because, you know, the Bills lost or whatever, but I'm just noticing that between them two. It's like, y'all let Pat do everything he want to do, and it's amazing, you know. And he's been throwing an interception every game. I don't think he threw one. He might have threw one. Let me just double check like that real quick while I got my phone on my hand real quick, because I don't like to tell y'all something that he didn't do. I don't think he threw for interception last game. I lied. He did. I knew he did one interception. He's been doing an interception again. But, yeah, so he had one interception. And, I mean, y'all didn't, you know, y'all don't chew his ass the way y'all chew Josh's. So I just feel like, you know, moving forward, let's not do that. Like, let Josh cook like he's supposed to. And so that we could see, you know, more of an enticing Josh anyway, because you know they about to play each other in a couple of weeks. And I do want to see, I kind of always want to see that matchup that they had in the postseason. A couple years back, that was just really throw for throw, tud for tud. That was really actually an exciting game. So, yeah, like, Tuesdays with me is all about NFL. and my thoughts on some of the games. And, I'm so excited to be actually doing this because I really am a football girl down at heart, basketball too. But, yeah, I'm so excited moving forward about Tuesdays just because of this. I get to talk football, and I can't wait till next Tuesday to be able to have the same conversations with you on the next games coming up. So, see you next episode.